The character of Delta from the anime The Eminence in Shadow is one of the most popular not only of this series but also of the anime, with his innocence and aggressiveness in addition to its design has won the affection of the community. Delta usually does not show much intelligence, but at the time of healing shows a gigantic power in addition to often lose reason and is scolded for this reason. Delta, previously identified as Sarah, is the fourth member of Shadow Garden, part of the original Seven Shadows. In her role as the Beast She-Wolf, she plays the main combat role within the organization, although she has no other outstanding skills. Delta, previously known as Sarah, is a lovely young woman with long black hair and prominent wolf ears on the top of her head. Her purple eyes reflect vertical pupils when she experiences intense emotions and rounded pupils when she feels happy. Her build is athletic and slender, highlighting her generous bust and pronounced abdominal definition. As a therianthrope, Delta exhibits natural characteristics such as large ears and a thick tail typical of her species. In her day-to-day life, she usually wears a dark outfit consisting of a long-sleeved shirt that encircles her neck and leaves her stomach exposed, accompanied by a pair of gloves, shorts combined with socks and shoes. Delta often adapts this outfit with variations of materials, but always chooses garments that highlight her athletic figure. There are exceptions, however, such as when in winter she helps Sid search for Gettin's buried treasure. When on duty for the Shadow Garden, she wears the group's standard uniform, characterized by a dark suit with black and gold accents, customized with leather trim at the collar, wrists, and ankles. Her blouse features a dark design with vertical gold lines running down the center of her torso and joined with purple gemstone accents. These gems are strategically placed over her bust, adorned with golden shoulder pads. Her arms are covered by black sleeves that connect to a cestus around her forearms and gloves of the same color. A light belt encircles her midriff, splitting the seam of her blouse to reveal her abdomen. Underneath, she wears black-toned tights, with straps encircling her hips and a pair of gold chevrons that stand out along her legs, ending in leather detailing at the ankles. Delta's tail is decorated with gold rings and bells at the base and end, adding a distinctive touch to her appearance. In the game and the light novel, Delta wears a gold lace gem on both hips of her pant line. In the light novel, there are more detailed grooves in her leggings, as well as a trio of belts on both arms around the biceps/triceps. At times in the manga, Delta wears a mask to protect his original identity. Due to the typical personality of any therianthrope, Delta is often described as a muscular figure and comes across as cheerful and immature, similar to a child. She also tends to refer to herself in the third person. Delta has a deep affection for her master, going so far as to embrace him whenever they meet. She also doesn't mind the idea of mating with him and sharing him with her Shadow Garden companions. Since childhood, she and Gamma have maintained a rivalry between intelligence and strength, though they still care for each other. As part of Shadow Garden, Delta enjoys fighting immensely. She is ruthless and sadistic with her enemies, making sure that none of them escape alive. This behavior makes her dangerous, as she often goes overboard in her brutality, even causing concern among her master and her companions. This trait is characteristic of the Beast Kin, who recognize and follow the strongest, considering them leaders, although Delta only recognizes strength and swears allegiance to Shadow. Her overwhelming power leaves those around her in awe. Therefore, she did not hesitate to end her brother's life, considering him weak. However, it is suggested that Delta does not follow all Beastkin traditions, as she feels a deep hatred towards her pack for exiling her. In the past, Delta was a sweet child who cared for her ailing mother. Unfortunately, after her mother's death, she was abused by her father and brothers, which radically transformed her personality into that of a bloodthirsty savage beast. Delta seems to have little sense of shame. Even when her slime suit melted in a battle at the sanctuary due to sealed magical power, she barely concealed her private parts and continued the fight with what was left of her attire. Even after the Lineworm event, she did not repair her costume and remained in a kind of bikini armor. In addition, Delta has a keen sense of smell and can detect the scent of other beasts with ease, making her a skilled tracker when the situation calls for it. Although she often argues with her Shadow Garden companions, she never resorts to physical violence against them, as she considers them her new family, although she sometimes tries to bite them in moments of frustration. He also sees Zeta as a cat and maintains a fierce rivalry with her, caused by Zeta's constant food stealing and teasing. Delta treats the numbered and unnamed members as if they were her little sisters, playing and sharing awkward moments with them when they are off duty. She has a habit of behaving like a dog with those she deeply appreciates, being affectionate and constantly seeking their attention. Delta has an intense lust for blood, combined with her beastkin nature, which leads her to react impulsively, resorting to murder as a solution to any problem she encounters or simply out of boredom. She attacked Nelson with the intention of finishing him off, even though her Shadow Garden companions had asked her to hold back until they could get all the necessary information. Delta likens the act of killing to hunting, as before joining Shadow Garden he used to hunt with his pack. He loves to hunt and enjoys doing so even more with his master. Delta ranks third in terms of strength within Shadow Garden, second only to Alpha and Sombra. Sid has recognized her as the physically strongest among the 7 shadows, with the potential to surpass even Alpha if she could control herself better. He also admits that her tracking skills are superior even to his own. However, she completely lacks skills in other areas and is therefore mainly used for search and elimination missions. Physical abilities. General strength. Delta possesses superhuman strength, stamina, and reflexes, being the strongest in these areas among the 7 shadows. She is said to have greater brute strength than any other member of her species. From a young age, she has concentrated on developing her physical abilities using magical training weights due to her difficulty in learning more advanced techniques due to her lack of control. Senses. As a wolf, Delta has superior senses, especially smell, sight, and hearing, allowing him to identify, track, and locate prey with ease. Even if they try to hide their scent or other characteristics, Delta can detect it with ease. Shadow himself has admitted that he could not defeat Delta in this area and that she easily discovered his disguise as John Smith despite his precautions. Close combat. Delta's style in close combat is simple but savage and brutal, using her claws and fangs like a true wolf. Although she is said to have been trained in other combat styles, her main focus is brute force. Swordsmanship. Delta's sword technique has been described as pure violence. Although her technique can be compared to that of an average swordsman, her brute strength makes up for any lack of technical skill. Magic. Physical enhancement. Delta does not appear to be able to cast spells aside from strengthening herself through mana control. Although she is not magically proficient, she can superhumanly strengthen herself, second only to Shadow in this regard. She can also manipulate her slime body with mana, and possesses a large amount of mana that does not seem to deplete. Techniques. Frenzy. Delta tends to become even more savage in combat, especially against powerful or numerous enemies. In this state, it moves on pure instinct and can be difficult to control. Tail strike. In the anime, Delta has been seen using its tail as a weapon. Its blows are so strong that they can cut through solid objects like a blade. Roar. Delta can let out a powerful roar by using its magic to enhance its lungs. This roar can cause hearing damage to its opponents, repel projectiles, and destroy the surrounding area. Iron Slap. By manipulating his slime body, Delta can create a huge sword that he can use to attack multiple enemies simultaneously. However, because all the slime has been redirected, using this technique leaves her nearly naked. Low intelligence. Despite his remarkable combat prowess, Delta's disadvantage is obvious: his lack of intelligence. Due to his naivety and his inability to contain his killer instinct, he is completely incapable of any complex thinking. This not only limits his abilities off the battlefield, but also prevents him from reaching his peak performance, as he cannot master any advanced fighting techniques or defensive strategies. Slime costume. Delta was forced to convert her slime outfit into bikini armor, as it barely covered her private parts while controlling her magic. Slime weapons. Delta, like the other members of Shadow Garden, employs a sword made of slime, which she wields with dexterity and skill. In the game and in the anime, his weapons are customized, as are those of his other fellow members of the 7 Shadows. Dark Claws. In the game, Delta uses huge magical claws composed of slime as his main weapon. Magical training weights. In the game, Delta, like his mentor Shadow, uses training weights to stay in shape and constantly adjusts his weight to further enhance his physical abilities as he continues to develop. Delta often pounces on Sid and embraces him whenever they meet. As the most physically gifted of the 7 Shadows and her lack of self-control, Delta is the most destructive, sadistic, and brutal member of Shadow Garden. Due to her nature, Delta has bitten or attempted to bite every member of the Shadow Garden she has ever met, except Sid. Unlike in the light novel, anime, game, and web novel, Delta is seen participating in the assault on Midgar Academy, though not in the other story routes, as only Gamma was available for it. So far, Delta is the only one of the members of Shadow Garden and the Seven Shadows who has challenged Alpha in combat for the position of second in command of the Seven Shadows, once when they were children and when she was beginning to believe she was the strongest of the Shadows, but Alpha defeated her without a problem, and after her defeat, Delta respects her and obeys her orders without exception, due to the trauma and fear she had with Alpha. In the manga, Alpha is able to stop Delta's wild side. Every time she rages, just threatening the former by taking away her snacks, which immediately appeases her, and after the sanctuary is destroyed, Delta is seen chewing on a bone. Delta tries to pretend she's not stupid, even though everyone in Shadow Garden knows she is, by ending most of her sentences with "Disu," as her mother taught her before she died. Another personality trait she learned from her mother is to always be respectful to those in a higher position, which is why she often refers to Shadow as boss and Alpha as Lady Alpha. In the game, Delta, like his master Shadow, use training weights, but it is not known if they use them constantly or only use them when he wants to practice and exercise. As in the anime, he is not, apparently, seen carrying these weights. Because of her natural features, Delta is possibly the only person in the world who has seen Sid's true personality, as she often repeats the things he tells her word for word. But, because those statements make no sense or are outlandish, everyone else believes Delta is misquoting Sid. Delta's character is based on a dog the author once bred. Delta seems to be the only one of her breed that wears underwear. This is seen when she was sleeping in one of the anime episodes, which is ironic since according to Zeta they don't wear underwear because it's uncomfortable for them to move around. It is revealed in the anime short Kage. Delta can tell if someone is lying or not by simply licking their face. Delta's character is more complex than it seems since she tries to appear to be smart but she fails. Besides, all the members of the Shadow Garden already know the intelligence that Delta has in her mind. One of the reasons for repeating what Sid says is to appear to be smarter, but Delta repeats everything Sid says, and this is not the most intelligent character of the series, making her companions always think that she is repeating Sid's words incorrectly. Delta may not be the strongest character, but without a doubt her fights are very entertaining to watch and her behavior is extremely entertaining, and she is very tender and beautiful, so she is a very well designed character. I hope you liked the video. If you want me to bring a video about your waifu, comment it. Do not forget to check the videos of the channel. See you in the next video.